Hey, hey, and good evening. Welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. I'm your host, Alan Campbell, and sitting in with me is my man, Keith.
The Prime Minister Footy Mac K
That's,
all day.
the Prime Minister's in the house. That's right. We're gonna leave it right there, y'all.
Right,
So, last week I started a little small segment, and I got some pretty decent feedback from that. And the segment is called "The Stupid Sugar Honey Iced Tea That My Father Used to Do." Now I told a story last week. Now this is going to be another. And I tell you, trust me.
Oh, wow.
Wait. These stories I tell, we get older and we become adults. We remember these little stories as children, what we saw it happen. Now, my father was a very unique individual. I mean, and I say unique in many ways. So he bought a van that my mother told him not to buy, She said, "Don't buy this van." Oh no, the guy's going to give it to me for $400. Now, even back then, $400 and you buying a vehicle is suspect.
Yes.
Even today.
Yes. Even
she told him, "Don't buy this van. Don't buy this van." He bought it anyway. We took one trip, and I kid you not, we took one trip in this van. We went to St. Louis. This one, before Marriott took over, and it was just called Six Flags. In Six Flags at the time, it was called Six Flags. In St. Louis, it was called Six Flags over Mid-America.
Okay.
And we took that van and drove down to St. Louis. The van got us there and got us back. He had nothing with problems with this van. Now, the funny thing that he did is, and this is a true story. I can't make this up. I'm not that clever.
Okay.
Wait. You remember those? You remember the barbecue grills? The little small barbecue grills that had the legs that you had to put through the side?
Yeah.
Okay. What he did, we got ready to go out, and the van wouldn't start. It was really cold. Now, if you've lived in the Midwest or Chicago for that matter, and we had one of those really biting colds.
Damn radio.
He goes out, I kid you not, and he says to me, he says, "Alan, go get me the barbecue grill." I'm trying to think, what the hell? What the hell you do with a barbecue grill? It's winter.
Right.
So he tells me to take the legs off the grill.
Take the legs off.
Take the legs. So we proceed to take the legs off the grill. He puts the charcoal inside the grill, lights a fire, and he slides the grill underneath the van, hand of the oil of the van. Wow. What happened is that the oil got hard, and then it got cold, and it needed to be warm to get through. In this time, and we're out there, and this is December, January. We got a barbecue grill. We got a nice little flame going, heating up the oil pan. Right. He gets in the van and he starts the van up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mother's standing there on the porch, and she's saying, "Would you look at this mess here?"
No.
It's just some of the things that some of the things my dad would do. You just scratch your head and you just say, "Are you absolutely kidding?" That's a true story. But if you have a story of some of the sugar honey iced tea that your father used to do, just funny stuff that you, as an adult, you think about now was really comical, and just tell us your story. We're gonna, as I always do, I open the lines very early, and we're gonna get into some things tonight. We're gonna pick up where we're gonna be in part 3 of our subject of citizen. But I want to go into something relatively quickly. Over the weekend, and we will address this too. Over the weekend, Rosemont Police Department closed the case on Miss Kanika Martin / Jenkins. They officially closed the case, and they've already listed this as an accidental death due to hypothermia. Now, what we're having here is that we're getting a bunch of these. Now, as a good journalist, as I like to consider myself, I looked at, once they close it, this information becomes public
Public information.
information. And if you don't understand what public information, or what you can do is that there's it's called the FOIA, FOIA. It's called the Freedom of Information Act, which means that release this information. Okay, under that, under the law.
Okay.
And once and so I looked at the video, looked at the surveillance film, looked at the read the reports, looked at the film, looked at everything from start to finish, and the crime scene photos, also with this woman's body in as part of that, because you have to understand it's a crime scene and the body is considered evidence. We have a lot of conspiracy theorists out there to say, well, this and say that and say that and say this. You have to understand, a couple of these wannabe CSI individuals. You have to understand how this actually works. People are saying, oh, that they did this, someone killed her, someone wanted to harvest her organs, all of this nonsense. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna move on. Individuals, if some of you spent getting your vocational skills and your diplomas instead of becoming conspiracy theorist experts, or whatever the case may be, and let's be honest, some of you can't even spell conspiracy, but you want to put stuff out there. Get on with your life. This was a tragic event that happened to this young lady, but to continue to inundate social media with what you think, when half of you, and if you listen to some of these people, listen to some of them, and listen to their theories and basically their dialect. Okay. Like, are you kidding me?
Really, that's exactly where I was going with that, right? I was about to say, when times people use words and can't even spell it correctly
or pronounce them,
then not only not spell them, know the proper definition of the word.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to some call-ins on that.
That's the thing about that. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking for a response back on someone to call back on the fact of people using words and cannot actually give us a clear definition of what the word means, right, spell it right. And me personally, my pet peeves, man, that really irks me to death, man. When I use a word that I can't spell, that bothers me.
And that's a sidebar, and it should bother anybody. If you're using words that you do not know the meaning of, stop. That's number one. Yep. Or two, you are not pronouncing these words in the proper way it should be done. It's called enunciate.
Enunciate.
Okay. So all you conspiracy theorists that's out there, this is what y'all need to do. Go back to school. Skills. Get those diplomas. Oh, and while we're talking about diplomas, they're getting, and just in case, and see, this is where we have to start really doing our homework. Just in case, if some of you are not aware, they're getting ready to do away with the GED, or the, what is it called, affectionately called? The
high school equivalency.
Yeah, the equivalency. Yes. They're getting ready to do with that, which means that it is no longer going to be acceptable or valid. No longer going to be acceptable or valid. So
basically, what someone's going to have to do is they're going to have to take it all or nothing.
Should have done it right the first time.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right. Wow.
I'm not, it's not about beating up on people, but these are things that you have to do, because we're moving into an age now to where it's becoming more prevalent. And then when people to corporate America and they see see diploma, even though both of them are black,
right?
Guess who's gonna get the job?
You know who's gonna get
the job. The guy who's got the diploma.
Absolutely.
Take your time. That's what that's what's gonna, and trust me, that's gonna happen. Our next thing is concerning, and it's first and foremost, I have great respect for our armed forces. I have great respect for them. Okay.
As well.
But we also have to understand that when you are signing up for this, you know what you're doing. If you sign on the dotted line, then hey, there's a chance I could get killed. you are truly a disillusioned individual. And for the family who don't realize that happened, now no one looks for that to happen, but it's an inherent risk. It's the same thing as being a police officer. Job where there's an inherent risk of death, you fully understand when you sign on, this is what happens.
And it's in the fine print.
There
it's definitely
is.
In the fine print.
Absolutely.
Everyone seen the movie Airplane. And it just and the reason I brought it up because this is so relevant to what we're discussing. The lawyer, of course, we all know is played by what's the black guy name that played the role?
You're talking about Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington, and he played the airplane pilot.
Oh, you're talking about Flight.
Yeah, Flight. Okay,
a very good movie.
There in that movie there were two stewardesses that was killed in the flight.
Right.
Okay, and I remember they was doing this big scene about how the insurance company was going to pay out for everyone. Well, this would really rock my world. They said, okay, well, it was 22 deaths, okay, but there were only had to be paid out per se because the other two were employees.
Right, in which they said it is an inherent risk. Just so that and if we have if we have any if we have any flight attendants, because we don't they don't want them to call us stewardess. We don't want that.
Right, I definitely wouldn't want to be called this. I'll be honest, I wouldn't want to.
But if you flight attendants, but when you sign on, because in fact I'm glad you mentioned that, because Delta now hiring 1,000. They're looking to hire. Base is looking to hire 1,000 flight attendants. But when you right now? Yes, right now.
I'll be right back. I gotta go.
Oh, just comedian. But anyway, it's an inherent risk when you join the armed forces. The four men that were killed, or KIA as military jargon puts it, it's Staff Sergeant Dustin W., age 29, Staff Sergeant Brian C. Black, age 35, Staff Sergeant Jeremiah W. Johnson. And the talk of the town that's around the water cooler is about the only black officer that was killed or is Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. Now the brouhaha, the uproar about that is apparently what Trump apparently said in a phone call. Now, his words were to the widow were, and I'm just small excerpts from the conversation, is that getting himself into. Now, would that be, for most people, they would say that would not have been the right thing to say. But think about it. We have to let's be realistic about this. Let's be honest with ourselves. Someone is killed in action, whether someone is killed on the street. What can you really honestly tell someone when they lose a loved one? There's nothing in the world you can possibly say. His words were, he knew what he was getting into. His words. Knew what he was getting into.
When he strapped himself in that seat.
Once you sign on, it's a done deal. And not to mention that these men were from special forces. Now, there's now you have the Army, and you have certain branches of the Army, but then you have other areas of the armed forces where you have Delta. You have Delta team, you have SEAL teams, you have special forces. These are people who are trained to go into what they call hotspots. And the understanding is that you may not come out of there. You may not come back.
Yeah.
He knew what he was getting himself into, as well as the other three other soldiers that were killed that day. Now, the story starts to take a twist when we get to now here's the thing. We got to understand this. This is going to lead into us talking about citizens. See, this once again, there's that bridge.
All right.
The conversation, and people, please do some fact checking on this one. You look up this woman, because I tell you, when you see this woman, you're gonna, first thing that's gonna pop in your head is that this circus clown. When you see her, you're gonna like, are you kidding me? You actually want someone to take you serious?
Well,
you know what? They run a neck and neck. But during the conversation, a representative overheard the conversation between the president and LaDavid Johnson's widow. Her name is Maisha Johnson.
Poor thing.
Yeah, she's I believe she's 23 with 2 kids and expecting. She's expecting also. So during the flight over with her husband, when meeting her husband, coffin, because all military did come through Dover. When they come through Dover, there's protocol. There's certain things that you're not going to be able to see, and you have to understand that when they label a person as KIA, killed in action, when they label that box, when they label that, some may say suitable for viewing and others may say not suitable for viewing. Now, not to mention, now the circumstances surrounding these men getting killed was that they were ambushed. That's a huge problem that somebody in Washington is going to have to figure out. Not only that, but LaDavid Johnson, who was the youngest of the team, 25 years old, and he's black. Let me make sure that I made clarification. This young man was black. This young man was not, and so the other 3 soldiers were found. They were found and recovered. And his body wasn't recovered for another 48 hours because somehow or another they all got separated. So which means it's indicative of a very furious firefight, and they're all scrambling for cover. Now let's look deeper into this also. LaDavid being black, and where these men were killed, they were killed in the region of Niger. And you had Nigerian. Okay. Now the reason that the United States is there, according to reports, that they were there to teach Nigerian forces how to fight ISIS, and they've been there since 2013, which goes back to the Sacred Cows administration. Are we there?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, every week is going to be something about the sacred cow.
I apologize.
It's what it is.
I apologize. I can't help it, man.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But but this here, they were there, and this young man was not found for another 2 days. Now we have to understand something. For the sake of argument, that the fact that these Nigerians who are black saw another black man fighting against them with white men. So we can surmise that they may have done some other things to him. So we can assume that, and that's for assumption, and I don't like to assume, but based on how certain Africans feel about us as black Americans, how they feel about us, it's very plausible. But the conversation that the president had with the widow and the representative, her name is Frederica Wilson, overheard the conversation, and she thought the conversation was not that. Hey, welcome to the show, the Chronicles of Rohn. Who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
Brother Kayvon Johnson, calling from Pensacola, Florida.
Hey, how you doing, Pensacola?
What's up, Pensacola?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. So let's dive in for time's sake. So what we're saying is, and I put up a post kind of similar around this. When we look on Facebook or some other medias and we see baby and parents standing there with babies in uniform, to many, I understand what their approach to it is, as far as, hey, baby's getting out of this ghetto, this hood, my baby's going into the military, they're going to be a part of something, they're going to be in something. They're going to be amongst other people that they're going to call their brothers and their sisters servicemen, and we all understand, and we wrap that in our head. At the same time, you have other people that's in the study. We've already had the conversation as far as where we fall at under citizen. We already done talked about the flag. We've discussed our association into the political spectrum of today and the political climate of today. And we talked about football, and football and other sports fall up under this as well. When we babies to get in these things and become a part of them, and we're doing it with the whole excitement of they're going to make money, they're going to be able to get a nice house, nice car, maybe a nice education, maybe live and of course a nice job, and that's the end. I have done my part as a parent, and see, here's my evidence. When we do that, it's only one side of the coin. Without flipping the coin, understanding the things that are the backlash of that, such as what happened to Johnson. And you have congressmen, I think Lindsey Graham and for time's sake, I know Lindsey Graham, and the other one just won't jump out at me. When I heard them say, hey, I didn't even know we had 1,000 troops in Africa. you know then, as a parent, if you are a parent with children in the military, it should kind of make you kind of sit back and maybe check yourself like, wow, here you have policymakers that don't even know where baby and them at, let alone what happens to them, and then the story that you get about what happened to them. So my point is this. We need to be careful. That's almost borderline of child abuse, to teach baby and them to be a part and join things without having good understanding of what it is. And then when the awful happens, then you have what we've seen displaying there on television with the one sister, the wife, the kids are going to be without their father no matter what. But even her approach in it. And listen, Trump didn't say anything wrong. And listen, you know what you were signing up for. Why everybody's trying to fall out, maybe overlooking the fact that I said, hey, you're not even a citizen. You're fighting for what and for whom and to preserve what? So I threw all of that in there. Maybe some other people will get a chance to call in. That'll kind of just give a little spark.
Yeah, I hope so. All right. Thanks a lot, Pensacola. We appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Pensacola.
See, that and it goes exactly to what we just talked about.
Exactly.
Now, we just said, he knew what he was signing up for, but at the same time, treated as what? Citizens. Now, to piggyback off of Pensacola's comment of Lindsey Graham and some of these some of these legislators, policymakers. Oh, I didn't know we had 1,000 troops. BS. You're lying. The truth ain't in you, because you have to sign off on that.
This is one thing for certain, and another thing for certain. I'm so glad that our government made this a fact. You know what? Back in the day when we used to get away with saying, well, I didn't know. Didn't no one tell me? Oh, I didn't know. Well, you know what? Today in our society, in America, United States, that's BS now, because you know what they say? They actually will tell you, looking you in your face, they'll say, excuse me, Mr. Ron, sir, ignorance is not an excuse.
There you go.
Ignorance is no excuse. Or you say you didn't know? Oh, well, too bad. And guess what? Now you do know.
There you go. And we have to realize, before you can put troops, before you put troops on the ground. Hey, welcome to the show, the Chronicles of Rohn. Who do we have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
This is Jay from Georgia.
Hey, what's going on, Georgia?
What up, Jay?
Let's get into it. So first thing first, we're talking about the issue with the military and the comments that are swirling around. I'll be very brief. First thing first is that since we are living in the culture of the participation trophies,
that's right.
You engaged yourself into an activity. As noble as it is definitely necessary. It is definitely something that should be applauded. But please understand, as anybody should know, you apply for, every job that you are engaged in, carries some level of inherent risk. And I believe you guys were alluding to that with the flight attendants, with the pilots, and so on and so forth. Still true. The other part of that is this gentleman is, for the most part, he served his country well. He has given his ultimate sacrifice, which is within his due service, brother, his flag and his credentials, and let's move on.
Okay.
His wife will be fine. His children will be fine. They are covered by the military, his life insurance, and all of the other needs that he paid for in both his deed and blood. Let's move on. The issue with Trump's comment, you have to understand this dude's perspective. And again, when you're talking with employees, they are not competent, nor do they have the intellect to understand an employer's intellect. Two different conversations.
Totally.
You're at the water cooler. I'm trying to figure out how we keep the water cooler filled. Different conversations. Then you're dealing with her attitude or whatever the thing of it is, where he didn't know his name. He doesn't. Grow up, sweetie. Grow up. I got millions of assets in the field. Steve Jobs, God rest his soul, if you ask Mark Zuckerberg, or even if you ask the owner of IBM, exactly what is the name of IBM product? What is that name? I don't know. I just know it's active. It's online, period.
Okay.
These are assets. When you get into the military, see, this is a lack of understanding. When you become a service asset of the United States government, just like in the prison system and in the military system, you are no longer a person. You are an asset.
Asset.
That's right.
Which further goes into the other part of the conversation about the congressional people having plausible deniability self from having to earmark where or how their knowledge of a particular asset or its function was at a given time. Only thing they need to know is that the asset is in service. They don't need to know the particulars of it. All they need to know is every asset has been accounted for.
And that's exactly what I'm going with right there with you, Jay.
These are assets. And we need to see, again, I hate to say this, but as usual, some of these brown people are always chasing the wrong dog. And you chase the wrong dog because you're still at an employee level when you need to be having conversations that employers are having.
Yeah.
Changes the whole dynamic. So to sum it up, bottom line is this. Sweetie, get over yourself. Take your 15 minutes because it ain't going to last too much longer. I need for you to get down there and get your paperwork straight, get your life insurance stuff from him. Don't worry about seeing his body, sweetie, because he may not be what you thought he was. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to be what you thought it was, okay? This ain't Walt Disney, and this sure is not Saving Private Ryan. Get over yourself. They brought him back. Get your money. Take care of them kids. Woman up, man up. Do whatever you need to do. All that other stuff is foolishness because in a month, we won't even remember you. See you that.
I won't even give it a fact.
But your kids will still need everything that you fooling around with. And if you're not careful, the government will find a way to disclude you.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Be quiet.
That's a fact.
Take your check. Keep moving. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, George.
Thanks for calling, George.
And he's exactly right.
Ooh, man,
listen, Miss Johnson, Miss Maisha Johnson said, like he just said, get your flag.
Get your flag.
Get your money.
Get your money.
Move on.
Move on.
That's it.
That's
because that's all and that's it. We have to understand that when you are assets.
Hey,
welcome to the show, to the Chronicles of Rohn. Who do we have on the phone and where are you calling from?
Bastion calling from Pensacola, Florida.
What's up, Pensacola?
All right, what's going on, Pensacola?
Yeah, I want to hit on a couple of things. I heard you saying earlier about words in their proper form, in their proper context.
Correct.
I say this a lot of times to Facebook. Etymology is important. We must know where the word came from and how it was used in the text of when it came. Like the word virgin in the Bible, it actually means, it doesn't mean what we think of it today as a lady not having sex. It actually means of the lady not being married. A lot of things, people today, we know how to read, but we don't know how to read, what to look for in certain words. And that's on that etymology. And as far as the president saying what he said to the widow, yeah, he did. Yes, he did know what he signed up for.
Okay.
I think in order to get the people right where they need to be, these countries, the leaders of these countries, if they want having some beef or whatever, they need to go whatever country they want to go to themselves and leave the innocent people alone in a fight who's not actually in the fight, if you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I mean, all of this stuff has nothing to do with us but power and to control the people that's in the country.
I'm gonna pose a question to you, Pensacola. Now, I do agree. I do understand when you say, hey, if you got a beef, hey, man up, duke it out. But in all practicality, I mean, we don't live in that society anymore. But the real question is, what are we doing there? That's the question. Now, understand, we don't have a beef with Nigeria, with Niger or Nigeria, Kenya, any of these places. We don't have a beef. So why are military troops there? Why are U.S. troops, boots on the ground, there? Why are they there? Now, why are they there? That's my question.
Mine too.
But the backstory is the policymakers are saying, and once again,
okay,
I'm going to that sacred cow who put them there.
Oh, wow.
That clown Obama, who put them there. Why are you there? That's the question. And when you say the innocence, when we talk about the innocence of that, agree. But they have to understand what they're getting themselves into. It's like, it's no more than what you just said. When you're getting into a street fight,
right,
you best understand what you about to get into, because you don't know if this dude has a stick, a club, a knife, a gun, a chain, whatever. That's the thing that as the United States failed to realize once again. And at the same time, let's go back right quick, and I'm gonna say this and let you finish. Let's go back to the Vietnam War when blacks ran to Canada. Muhammad Ali refused to fight. He said his words.
That's right.
Why am I going to go kill a man who has done nothing to me when this country don't even recognize me as a citizen?
Yes.
Why? This is what he was saying. He said this. And once again, and my grandfather said this to me years ago. The black man has no place in the military.
We've heard it all our life.
And only because we've been treated this way. And once again, it goes back to the original conversation of citizen. Goes back to that. Just want to throw that out at you.
Oh, that's all, man. I don't really have nothing else to say, man. I just wanted to touch on those few things, man. Appreciate y'all having me call in.
Yeah, no, man. Please call in if hey, we appreciate you. And and Pat, get the word out. Hey, this is a hot topic. This is a hot show. This is it. But thanks. We appreciate you calling in, bro.
All right, I appreciate y'all.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you. We appreciate you calling in, brother.
Hey, y'all, we're gonna take us a nice little musical break with some hot jazz that's coming hot, what I would prefer to call some hot right now. Okay, this is what we're gonna have. If you have a comment or a question, you have a comment or suggestion for the show, hey, give us a call, leave us a message on the voicemail at 872-267 1381. To our sponsors, Nubian Beauty of Hair. Nubian Beauty of Hair. Check out their website for their fabulous products. And I do mean fabulous products. Luxury, check them out. luxuryhairdirect.com/by/Nubian4. Remember to put the dot on the end of that 4. Give us a call here at the station to pick up on the conversation. 708-223-8953. Chronicles of Rohn. Hey, and welcome back to the show, The Chronicles of Rohn. I'm your host, Alan J. Campbell, and sitting in with me is my man, Keith.
The Prime Minister, Footy Mac K.
Hey, we got a call right now. Whoop. I don't know. Well, they hopefully, hey, call if you got okay. Call us back. We're going to be here for a good while. I want to touch on what Trump did say.
Okay.
To get clarification. Trump said, oh, here we go. Hey, welcome to the show, The Chronicles of Rohn. Who do I have on the phone and where are you calling from?
Again, thank you again for taking my call. This is Case on from Pensacola. Just one more thing, after listening to the last dialogue there. And I like to try to leave with something to at least think about, maybe consider. Again, even when we use that word black, it's tonight, or I should say earlier this evening. I have a 7-year-old, my baby boy, my junior, and he's 7 years old, second grade, and he's just now learning nouns, people, places, things, ideas, with a verb, an action, so on and so on. And again, I have some type of a contribution that I must leave to the baby. That's as a retired soccer coach. I'm finishing up a bachelor's in history. Maybe hopefully I'll teach history someday. And to my children, nieces, nephews, family, friends. When we use that word black, I listened to the dialogue there between my son and I was trying to make sure that I tried to explain it to a 7-year-old. I cannot tell my son in one breath that black is an adjective. It modifies a noun. It describes a noun. A noun is the subject. It is the thing. That's the major thing. So for me to tell my son that he's an adjective and a noun, and let's think about this for a minute. I heard y'all talk about Vietnam. We know that Japan got reparations. We know that the Jews got reparations. I'm not a big component of reparation to that degree, but I do study it. I look at all the different things that people deal with when you're dealing with a nation state. In order to deal with a nation, you have to be as a nation. That's the only way that communication can be. That's why people from across the water can come over, keep their nationality, take on the American to the end of it, and be able to have and maintain powers that people that are actually born and raised here 8th, 9th, 10th, 13th generations later cannot. And in that dialogue between my son and I understand the angle that his mom is coming from as far as I don't want him out here if someone says, because my son is polite. He's going to be nice. But if you do come up to him and say, hey, boy, you're black, my son is nicely going to tell you, like, that's color. That's a color. Those are crayons. People can't be a crayon. People are not crayons. People actually have names. Now, if we do not know what our names are, well, wouldn't that be a topic of conversation?
I want to engage you in a dialogue too. Do you allow your son to watch the show?
No, I'm kind of, because I know I'm going to call in. I try to keep it quiet, but I will consider actually having him to sit in.
That's okay, and that would be good because
that would be great.
So he's 7, so he's pretty much in the bed by now.
Well, I get that. I totally understand. But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is the beautiful part about this show and why we say it's intellectual radio. The beauty part about that is that we have to tell our children the truth. Yes. If we're telling our children the truth, we have to really engage them in the dialogue of the truth instead of presenting a makeshift thing so we're not ushering them into the world of participation trophies and saying, hey, that's a crayon. Listen,
even if it's unpopular.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
If it's then that's the thing that we're conveying here is we have to fully understand. The biggest problem is that we don't teach our children the culture, the true culture. We want to baby them, we want to sugarcoat it. But then when we have Johnny Law come out there, and Johnny Law tells them, hey, this, and this.
Right.
Now he feeling some kind of way because now he may feel like, wait a minute, my parents didn't tell me the truth that this is the real world. I have two sons. One's been at his job 10 years, and another one is in college. College is he's getting a full understanding, and that's only because of how
you raised
him and gave him the exact information he needs. Listen, you're going to this school.
That's right.
Hey, son.
That's right.
You're at this job 10 years. He was concerned about this promotion. It's over. He was. I said, look, understand something. Don't get upset because why? Even though you have displayed the skill to handle the job, because you are black. Fully understand and teaching our children from this age. We can't continue to hide these things from them when they're sitting there and even though that even if these children come from a well-fit home to where both the parents have degrees and things of that nature, you're still not giving them the information that they need.
Right.
Gabrielle,
even when you said when they run up against Johnny Law, let's consider this. Before they run into Johnny Law, you have the mommy rule. Mommy wants, because we're men, we're dads. Our job is to tell our children when they start messing up, corrective action to get them back on course. Mom is more concerned about the law. I want baby to be perceived this way. I don't want baby to make that big of a rant about that, because on this conversation, it is unpopular for us not to call ourselves black. But at the same time, though, when you really kind of sit back and think about it, when you look around the world, not just around the world, everybody has a nationality. Not even an African will let you get away with calling him black. He's going to tell you where he's from. I'm Moroccan, I'm Nigerian, I'm Kenyan, and so on and so forth and whatnot. But for us to continue to, on the world stage, not that we don't have an argument, we have a valid argument. We really do have a valid argument.
Correct, Amando.
To be in a nation state, and black is not going to cover that.
Well, and to move past that, but here's the thing. Here's the difference between us here in America. Nobody has to tell them that they're from Morocco, that they're from Nigeria. that they're from Kenya. When people ask us, we're from the United States. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Illinois, or I'm from Kansas. I'm from a state, not a country. That's the difference.
Oh, well, let me ask you this, brother, real quick. Are you sure it's not a country? Because remember, we have two constitutions. You have a state constitution and you have a national constitution. Are you sure that state is not actually a country and just being called a state?
State?
That the state itself is not a country. States are country. You are in a country. Why? How can that be, Brother Pensacola? Because it has its own constitution to coincide with the national or federal constitution. So every state is its own country. But because we participate, like Brother Jacob was talking about earlier, because we participate in it the way people want us to participate in it, we'll be chasing our tail.
But that's true. Okay, and that's true. But can you use those state constitutions? Say you're in Pensacola, Florida, and Florida has its own constitution for that state. Can you go to California and exercise those particular rights that Florida extends you?
Hell no.
At that moment, no.
No, exactly. So that's my point, because we have to fully understand that us here, see, we're not afforded the same rights as, say, a Kenyan, as, say, a South African, as, say, a Somalian. We're not afforded those people. They're in a country to where their constitution covers them. Under two, like you said, two constitutions, which kind of cancel out each other, because one is contradictory to the other. Oh, well, states can't tell another state what to do, and the federal government can't tell a state what to do, and the state can't tell the federal government. So it's a mishmash of BS, and at the same time, we're being told and taught this nonsense. We have to understand the arena that we are living and working in. We have to learn.
At least, brother, we're having the conversation.
Correct. That's the whole beauty part of it. Thank you, my man.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Appreciate you, Pensacola.
Thank you, Pensacola.
That is exactly right. See the difference, and when I go back, and I'm a hammer on this again, the preamble. Equal,
yes,
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit.
And whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people.
The right of the people.
The right of the people.
Yes. And
to
again,
alter,
yes.
To alter or abolish it, and institute a new constitution. Now, that only works if you are a citizen.
If you are a citizen.
A citizen.
It's not going to work. It's out the window.
No.
It is out the window if you're not a citizen. And people don't understand how important it is to be considered a citizen, because the smallest little thing will not apply to you because you're not a citizen. You know what I mean? Because again, remember my favorite apostle Paul. In the Bible, I'm not taking this and making this a religious or anything about the faith or whatever the case may be, but I have no problem with also letting it be known that I'm a strong man of faith. I do roll with King Jesus. I am a Christian, but that's not the point that I'm making here. The point that I'm making it is how important it is to be recognized as a citizen in your country, city, state, or government, because Paul was a citizen. He was demanded the certain treatment that he needed at that particular time. Because had not he been a citizen at that particular time, they'd put the pause all over Paul. You know what I mean? Paul might not even got to finish writing.
That's right.
Half of the great stuff that he had written. They was about to beat his brains out, but because he was a citizen, and again I said the word citizen, they had to restrain and refrain from putting their hands on Apostle Paul because he was a citizen. They said, matter of fact, not only do we got to take our hands up off this brother, we got to go ahead and send them to the man, let the man dictate this.
Exactly,
Exactly.
exactly.
Because this is about to go
We have to
down
fully understand
like
that.
Bobby Brown in this
Hey,
time.
welcome to the show, Chronicles of Rohn. Who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
Jay from Georgia calling.
All right, Georgia.
What up, Jay?
So you hit on a good point. Definitely citizens, and we've said that before. But the true crux of the matter is the reason why we are still having this debate, truthfully fondling this conundrum, is because not fumbling, fondling.
Okay.
We know exactly what we want to do, but we're playing around with the genitalia. So I'm clear on my words. The thing of it is when you have we send to Congress, who are supposed to present our interests. And again, they are fondling us all along the way to get to their agenda.
I like that.
You have this situation that continues to persist. Prime example, Maxine Waters, and Lewis, Frederica, whatever her name asshat is, all of that. These are people who are privy. These are people who have the ability to initiate change.
Okay.
They won't.
Okay.
And the reason why they won't is because, hey, look here, we didn't finally get to a point to where this actually makes sense, to where we don't have to work no more. We just need to make you believe that we're advocating for you. We just need to give you the illusion that we're advocating for you. But in reality, people who sit in the House of Representatives are nothing more data entry clerks. Period and point blank. They have no power, and everything that has to get introduced has to get, for the lack of a better term, into the corporate system, data entry through their system. It moves over to Congress that it has any weight and momentum to actually do anything. Other than that, it's dead paper. But my point is, this whole citizen subject thing, it sits at their feet. Even our former, second president, black president, African, whatever you want to call it, it sat at his feet. Things that as a lawyer, make no mistake, this man was a lawyer, top of his class from Harvard. You don't think that he knew possibly, hey man, we might need to look at this. This ain't cool.
Very intelligent.
But it didn't affect him. He technically he got in the free card because he was born on a province.
Okay.
But my point is to be real simple and to keep it moving. Citizen subject. Until we can unite and get it to be understood that there is not equal protection under the law for us. If you think that that is not true, look at what happened in Black Wall Street. Citizens, technically small c, were bombed and annihilated in their own neighborhoods. They were taken and they were beaten and executed, whereby other citizens went from house to house, terrorizing them over a lie. Look at the story of Rosewood. One set of citizens who went and caused war and havoc against another set of citizens. All while law enforcement stood by, because law enforcement has become the dog catchers. So, I'm going to be, we've got to understand the positioning and who we're putting in those positioning. And if they're not doing what we need to do, I guarantee you, any other culture in this country, if we send you down as a Catholic, as an Irishman, as an Italian, down to Congress, and you don't support our interests, I guarantee you won't be back. Not us.
No.
We're going to send you back just because we believe in you. There's too much blood crying out, and you're sitting there watching it curdle.
Hey, that's deep.
That's deep.
That's deep.
Super deep.
We've got to make these people accountable. And if you're not going to be accountable, me personally, I don't vote on color at all.
All
Has
right.
nothing to do with anything.
I heard
Who
that.
was the best candidate? I refuse to call myself a Democrat because I'm not. I'm not a jackass.
Mm.
I'm an informed voter who needs to make an informed decision with the weight of the ballot that I'm casting. Give me that time.
All right, appreciate you, Georgia. I mean, that you're talking about, that's definitely food for thought. I got two things here
Man,
that I'm just going to skim over, but I'm going to go to the more poignant thing here. At the time we talked about John. I call him John Brickhead Lewis because he got clobbered with a brick, and apparently it still hasn't healed his ills on the direction that we should be going.
Okay.
This is a speech that John Lewis made when he was the SNCC chairman. March on Washington, August of 1963. And it goes on to read. I'm just going to skim. I'm going to get over it. But if you want to read the full speech, just look up speech March on Washington, August of 1963. We march for jobs and freedoms, but we have nothing to be proud of. For hundreds and thousands of our brothers are not here. They have no money for their transportation, for there are no receiving starvation wages or wages at all. And good conscience. Now, I want you all to remember now, the same John Lewis who sits in the House of Representatives, who is supposed to be what? Advocating for us. Advocating for us. In good conscience, we cannot support wholeheartedly the administrative civil rights bill, for it is too little, too late. But there's not one thing in the bill that will protect our people from brutality. That's what he said. And here we are today having the same conversation. And once again, that bill, that issue was still at the feet of the sacred cow.
The sacred cow.
Barack Hussein Obama. Hey y'all, I wish I could get more into this, and I wish we had more time for the show. And that is our time here tonight on the Chronicles of Rohn. We want to say thank you to our sponsors, Nubian Beauty of Hair. I don't know why I got a little dyslexia, but I'm gonna fix that. Nubian Beauty of Hair. Check out their fabulous products on go to their website, luxuryhairdirect.com/buy/Nubian.4. Remember, put that dot at the end of the 4. I'm your host, Alan Campbell, my man.
The Prime Minister Freddie McKay, all day. Saying special love to my family and friends at the washing machine, man, on Titonia Mill Road in Milwaukee.
There we go. We appreciate everybody that called in tonight. Hey, not my monkey, not my circus.